say in your mind, say to yourself, I am more than my physical body. Because I am more than physical matter, I can perceive that which is greater than the physical world. I deeply desire to expand, to experience, to know, to understand, to control, to use such greater energies and energy systems as may be beneficial and constructive to me and to those who follow me. I deeply desire the help and cooperation, the assistance, the understanding of those individuals whose wisdom, development, and experience are equal to or greater than my own. I ask their guidance and protection from any influence or any source that might provide me with less than my stated desires.
Do not know all the answers to the questions about reality. Do not claim to know the ultimate truth about life. I seek that which has been made hidden as a part of a family of explorers of consciousness. I'm the void one.
Welcome to Lighting the Void.
Broadcasting live from a shack on a hill in the Mossy Creek bottoms of Cane Creek, Arkansas. This is Lighting the Void live, and sorry about the late start. I had a little bit of a technical issue. My playout system is going nuts. Still having some technical issues, to be honest with you, and we'll get it all worked out through the broadcast. It's one of those things where you realize that, you start to realize that the whole problem wasn't anything other than you. Isn't that frustrating? So for the first part of the broadcast, or the first part of the hour, all I did is I sat here, and so I have a playout system. It wasn't working. So I restarted everything, restarted the computers, restarted everything. And I'm sitting here like practically cursing out this, playout system per se, right? But it's not like doing its proper thing. And it all has to come down to the fact that, I wasn't, it's all my fault, basically. I was like, what is going on? And then I realized that I switched, last night during Mary's show, I switched a cable, and the systems did not know what to do. So it's all a matter of consciousness, really. I'm sitting here so frustrated with myself, blaming everything under the sun, and then I realized, I went into the user manual, and it was like, oh, if you have this problem, make sure you check this. And when I checked it, I was like, oh yeah, I did switch that out. Whoops. So it's one of those things, right? Like, it happens to all of us. So yeah. Anyways, there might be a couple of sound glitches tonight. If I can help it, I didn't get it all totally sorted out, but if I can help it, I will, because I do everything live here on the fly. Speaking of which, it is May the 8th, 2024. I was going to do a show tonight with the R and Voot recording I did, but since everything got so flustered, we might do that tomorrow night. or Mark Steves is going to come on, because it's such a great presentation on the Osiris mysteries, the whole DMT experience and stuff. I don't want to, F it up, so to speak. I really don't, because it was awesome. I woke up early in the morning to do it with him, and it's a pretty long presentation too, so it takes up the whole show. And I figured, why not? And then when all of this happened, I was like, oh yeah, okay, we can't do that. So we got two choices. I've got two things I wanted to go down through tonight. We can finish this Wes Penry stuff, which you guys know how much this book frustrates me, even though it's let's just say sci-fi entertaining. I hate to finish stuff and not start it. Or we can go the route of the mysteries of, right, like the Bible. And I have a mystery that I want to start on. But look, here's the thing with the Bible mysteries, okay? I realized a long time ago that these stories weren't just about, the stories in the Bible weren't just about like actual literalism and history and things like that. They're stories that, of these things, that this plots that happen inside of you. So astrologically, I'm not saying that didn't happen on the earth, okay? But what I am saying is, for sure, astrologically and even biologically, these are stories about you, okay? Now, reality may be so powerful, and the Creator may be so powerful that not only is it astrological, biological, chemical, numerological, and it's a fractal truth to the point where it even happened in history, that's remained to be seen. I'm not going to tell you I know the truth of that, but Brian says, I've been playing this 4K projector. Joe is huge. Hell yeah, dude. You don't like that book? All right, well, I think I might leave it off tonight, because here's the thing. Gareth has been, as far as I know, he's in the hospital right now. I know the ALS, there's complications with it. Jesus Christ, I hope nothing's going crazy on me. I don't have a producer or a backup to call me and go, hey, what's going on here? But anyways, he's been hospitalized, and I think he's got pneumonia. And this is all I've heard from Richard so far. ALS does have some complications to it, and things happen. So I told him, just to keep us posted in our thoughts and prayers and everything. We're all for Gareth. We love him. And until Richard tells me what else is going on, I don't know what else is going on with that. All right. So maybe I can do a poll here. I hope you guys enjoyed Mary's show last night, because that was a great show, wasn't it? But yeah, big prayers for Gareth, for sure. What's up? Let's see. Barefoot Hippies, Maria, Word Salad. Where is Michael? I ain't seen him in a while. He's probably on the road. Brian, I ain't seen you in a while, brother. What's up, man? So I was going to open this book. Oh yeah. Y'all ready for this? Let me go to my book sections here and go to religion. Ooh. We don't do this on this show. Hey Tiffany, what's up? Sorry about the late start. Just a bunch of technological junk going on. You guys know I do everything like by the seat of my pants, so it is what it is. Speaking of which, I'm doing everything I can, to keep my life at some kind of stable environment. So, with that being said, I'm barely hanging on, doing 4 nights a week here, because I'm going to have to get a side job. That's life, right? So any support is always appreciated, but it is not something that is required. If you find anything of value, support is great. So you guys heard the story of Joseph, which is my name, by the way, but that doesn't really mean anything. But Joseph and the coat of many colors. Like, this is one of my favorite biblical stories. I told you guys when I was a kid, I used to get punished by having to read the Bible, which really wasn't a punishment because it was kind of soothing. So I don't know if you've ever listened to Alexander Scorby, but that's what my father would make me do. So I would have to go into the room and listen to the Bible or read along with it, because my father took things very literally, right? So, and there's a verse in the Bible that says, faith cometh by hearing the word of God. So he took that literally, that if I heard the texts of the Bible, that it would increase my faith. So I had a little room. I mean, my room was the size of a closet, and I had to shut the door, and he had what was it called? If you guys are my age, you probably remember it, but it was super expensive. It was like the Bible on tape. And they were all tapes that you had to put in and play, all by Alexander Scorby. What's up, Julie Sunshine? Nice to see you. But this was one of my favorite stories, if I can get to it. And I think it's Genesis 37 is where it starts. Like, again, I am just like creeping up here. Yeah, Joseph's dreams. So here's the thing. I figured if I can make a playlist out of some of this stuff, and we could just go down into the mysteries and then kind of pick apart what some of the stuff means, or explore it, right? We'll explore it together. We don't have to, have a preacher telling you everything that it means. But I do want you to think about the fact that, like, these characters and the plot and the overall, I guess you could say, theme of the stories of what's going on are actually about you. Just think about that. So, Joseph's dreams, Genesis 37. Grams just made us kneel in front of a porcelain statue of JC on the cross for a long ass time. Or go pick out a switch. Yeah, picking out a switch, I remember that too. Or when you have your brothers or whatever, they make you go, your brothers or cousins go pick out a switch, and they actually go get a bigger one just because they're pissed at you and they don't like you. Okay. So here it goes. So, and Jacob dwelt in the land wherein his father was a stranger, in the land of Canaan. Right? Am I reading this right? I think so. Let me make sure, because this is a study Bible. Yeah. These are the generations of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was feeding the flock with his brethren, and the lad was with sons of Beli, and with the sons of Zilpah, and his father's wives. And look up what these words actually mean, too, like all these words. So Beli is Bilhah, and Zilpah is Zilpah, which were his father's wives. And Joseph brought unto his father their evil report. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a coat of many colors. And when his brethren saw their father loved him more than all his brethren, they hated him and could not speak peaceably unto him. So right here, the plot thickens immediately, right? So you got this one son of Israel that's loved above all the other sons, and he's got this colored coat. So he's unique, probably resembles authenticity. I got notes on all this stuff too, actually, if I can find them. And immediately, his brothers don't like him because he's loved more than all the other ones. That's terrible, right? See, am I getting a message? No. So if you look up, like if you go to church, and they'll tell you that Joseph's coat symbolizes favoritism or his unique identity, divine blessing within the biblical story. But the coat, they'll say that the coat represents a unique position within his family and his father's love for him. Also, that the symbolism of the coat teaches lessons about divine favor, elevation, and the significance of individuality, which I think that's an important thing too. But Joseph's coat becomes a source of jealousy and resentment among his brothers, which leads to his enslavement. So this is kind of a pre-telling before the Jesus story happens. So you got one brother out of 12. I think it's 11 actually in this one. So Jesus had 12 apostles. Joseph had 11 or 12 brothers. Jesus got crucified. Joseph got thrown into a pit. They both went to Egypt, that kind of thing. So basically, if you look at the story as it's being you, this part of you that's known as Joseph, this unique divine part of you, let's just say it's part of you, is sold into slavery. Now, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, all of these thoughts are a zodiacal story, but they're also actual thoughts of the left brain, right? Because this whole thing, once you read it enough, it's just this play out of spirit coming into matter, or the sun rising inside of us all, or this Christ-like energy. And then once it gets up to the temple or Golgotha and the bridegroom thing happens, and then the eye be single, the body fills with light. But we can't do that if we don't open up the right side, or the feminine side, or the Shekinah, or the Holy Spirit. In other words, there's a reason why we meditate. There's an actual reason why we're supposed to meditate. But anyways, back into the story. Let's get into the literal story. So, and when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren, they hated him and could not speak peaceably unto him. And Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told his brethren, and they hated him yet the more. And he said unto them, Hear, I pray you, this dream which I have dreamed. For behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaf arose, and also stood upright. And behold, your sheaves stood around about, and made obeisance to my sheaf. So think about that. He's telling his brothers, hey, I had this dream about the sun, the moon, and the stars, and my sheaf was like set above all of you. So, automatically his brothers are going to think, who's this like brat? And we're supposed to bow down to you in your dream. So his brethren said to him, shalt thou indeed reign over us, or shalt thou indeed have dominion over us? And they hated him yet the more for his dreams and for his words. Which is, that's understandable. And he dreamed yet another dream, and told his brethren, and said, Behold, I have dreamed a dream more. And behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made obeisance to me. So he's one of his 11 brothers, right? This is where the whole 12 tribes of Israel comes out, and how we get these. Remember, these also correspond to astrological correspondences too. So, and he told it to his father and to his brethren, and his father rebuked him and said unto him, What is this dream that thou hast dreamed? Shall I and my mother and thy brethren indeed come down to bow down ourselves to thee to the earth? And his brethren envied him, but his father observed the saying. So his brethren went to feed their father's flock in Shechem. And if you look up that word, Shechem, or you could say Shechem, that word means shoulder. It gets weird, right? Once you start looking up the definitions of the word. It says, Do not thy brethren feed the flock in Shechem? Come, and I will send thee unto them. And he said to him, Here am I. And he said to him, Go, I pray thee, see whether it be well with thy brethren, and well with the flocks, and bring me word again. So he sent him out of the vale of Hebron, and he came to Shechem. So, in my mind, this is what this is this part of you, this Jacob part of you is this God, this higher self, right? Which is Israel, which if you divide that up, that's Isis, Ra, and El. It's the three gods put together, east and west. It's pretty much the bridegroom. If you look at that word, kind of the etymology of Israel. But, and El being a Canaanite god, remember that. Isis and Ra are Egyptian gods. So here we have let's look at it this way, our unique part of ourself, our Joseph that's inside of us, checking on these other 11 parts of ourself, like, hey, how you doing? Is everything okay? I'm here to help, right? That part of you, that authentic Christ-like, unique, loving part of you is checking on all the other brothers. It gets weirder, right? The more you get into it, though. So, and a certain man found him, and behold, he was wandering in the field, and a man asked him, saying, What seekest thou? And he said, I seeketh my brethren. Tell me, I pray thee, where they feed their flocks. And the man said, They are departed hence, for I heard them say, Let us go to Dothan. And Joseph went after his brethren, and found them in Dothan. And when they saw him afar off, even before he came near unto them, they conspired against him to kill him. So here comes Joseph the brat down the hill, right? In his coat of many colors to go, his little unique bratty, look at the freaking, the balls on this guy, right? The brat, the favorite. So who does he think he is? So he's coming down to talk to them, and they're conspiring against him to kill him, his own brothers. Yeah. Kind of like what happened to Jesus, but it was only one disciple that killed him for gold, of course. So, and they said to one another, behold, this dreamer cometh. Come now, therefore, and let us slay him and cast him into some pit, and we will say, some evil beast hath devoured him, and we shall see what will become of his dreams. In other words, the thoughts in your mind when you want to be who you actually are versus all the other thoughts. Or even if let's say you want to go meditate, and there's these thoughts, it's like, who do you think you are? You think you're some spiritual person? Do you think you're going to unite with God? Like, you got stuff to do. You're busy, right? Think about the world. Think about the blue dot in this big cosmic freaking circle in the universe and all the taxes you got to pay. You got stuff you got to take care of. That's how I look at it. Who do you think you are? So let us slay him and cast him into some pit. And Reuben heard this, and he delivered him out of their hands and said, let us not kill him. And Reuben said unto them, shed no blood, but cast him into this pit that is in the wilderness, and lay no hand upon him, that he might rid out of their hands to deliver him to his father again. So if you think about like the Jesus story, that's kind of the same energy of Pontius Pilate washing his hands, like I wash my hands of this, We can just throw him in the pit, but let's not kill him. So when it came to pass, and Joseph was coming to his brethren, that they stripped Joseph out of his coat and his many colors that was on him. Now this is kind of the same thing too that happened to Christ, right? Where they took off his garments. There's an actual verse, I forget what the verse is, but they did. They robbed him and took him of his garments too, before they crucified him. All right. And then they took him and cast him into a pit, and the pit was empty, and there was no water in it. And they sat down to eat bread, and they lifted up their eyes and looked, and behold, a company of Ishmaelites came from Gilead with their camels bearing spicery and balm and myrrh, going to carry it down to Egypt. I got a whole nother story I want to talk to you guys about Ishmael and what the Ishmaelites actually represent. But we'll get into that later. It's more of like the Eastern mystery, like Magi stuff. So, and Judah said unto his brethren, what profit is it if we slay our brother and conceal his blood? Come and let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hand be upon him, for he is our brother and our flesh, and he is brethren. And his brethren were content. So he talked him out of killing him, basically. Judah did. First it was Reuben, and then it was Judah. So the rest of the brothers, the rest of the, let's just say, once we figure out which tribe that these brothers correspond to, or which astrological sign they correspond to, or the rest of you wants to slay that part of you. Now, this isn't something that, the way I look at this is like, this isn't something that you deal with once in a while, right? Like, so if you're like a spiritual person, and either you meditate every day, or you do ceremony every day, or you do something to feel closer to the God or creator, or whatever you want to call it, you always have like thoughts that want to kill it, that want to destroy it, or that want to, question it, or like, who do you think you are? God, So, yeah. Anyways. So then they were passed by the Midianites, and the Midianites were merchantmen, and they drew and lifted Joseph out of the pit and sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver. And they brought Joseph into Egypt. Interesting thing here. So Joseph was sold for 20 pieces of silver. How much was Jesus sold for? 30 pieces of silver. If you look into the the Babylonian text, right? What 20 corresponds with. So 20 corresponds with that moon god I was telling you guys about. If you really want to kind of be a little biased and dig into it, the moon god Nana or Sin, or the word sin. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's right. It's either corresponds to the moon god. Yeah, it might be. Yeah, it's 20. It's either 20 or 30. I have them backwards. I might have them backwards. So I think it's 30 that corresponds to the moon god, Sin in Babylonian, and 20 corresponds with Shamax, which is sun. So either way, I'll figure the specifics out later. But if you look at it like this, in this story, one of them used Sin or the moon to I guess, betray the spiritual part, or Joseph or Jesus. And in the other story, it was the sun. So they cover up a lot of stuff with words here once you look into the etymology of it. So let's see. Yeah, 20 pieces of silver for Joseph. So Reuben returned into the pit, and behold, Joseph was not in the pit, and he rent his clothes. And he returned unto his brethren and said, the child is not. And I, whither shall I go? So just like when they went to find Jesus in the tomb, he was gone. Here his little brothers going to find Joseph in the pit they threw him in, and he's gone. So they took Joseph's coat, which he left. They took it. That's the thing they hated, right? The most is that favoritism or that uniqueness about him. Couldn't stand it. And they killed a kid of the goats and dipped the coat in the blood, which is like a foreshadowing to another story. And they sent the coat of many colors, and they brought it to their father and said, this have we found. Know now whether it be thy son's coat or no. Of course, they're lying, right? They betrayed that side of him. And he knew it and said, it's my son's coat. An evil beast hath devoured him. Joseph is without doubt rent in pieces. And Jacob rent his clothes and put sackcloth upon his loins and mourned for his son many days. So here, this Jacob part of us, like this higher part of us, really high part of us, when Joseph is gone, or Jesus is gone, or that Christ-like energy is gone from your life, or the sun card in the tarot, or whatever you want, however you want to look at it, your divine self is gone from you, you're not happy. You're in sorrow. And if you look at the world today, what causes this, right? Like most of us, when we compare ourselves to anything in the world, instead of telling the world what and who we are, once we start comparing ourselves to the world and we lose that part of ourselves, our life becomes unfulfilled and like very, very unhappy. It doesn't matter if you're religious or not. It doesn't even matter if you're an atheist. If you lose this part of yourself, you will become unhappy, period. So that's what that represents to me. So, let's see. It's easy to get lost in here. And all his sons and all his daughters rose up to comfort Jacob, but he refused to be comforted. And he said, for I will go down into the grave into my son's mourning. Thus his father wept for him. So that part of ourselves is pretty much saying, without this part of me, I might as well, I'll just be unhappy until I'm dead, you know. And the Midianites sold him into Egypt unto Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh's and captain of the guard. So, and it came to pass at that time that Judah went down from his brethren and turned into a certain Adullamite, whose name was Hira. And Judah saw there a daughter of certain Canaanite, whose name was Shua. And this is like a side story. Think about this for a second. And took her and went in unto her. You know what that means. And she conceived and bare a son and called his name And that's E-R. And she conceived again and bare a son, and she called his name Onan. And yet again conceived and bare a son and called his name Shelah. And he was at Chezib when she bare him. And Judah took a wife for his firstborn, whose name was Tamar. And Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord slew him. And Judah said unto Onan, Go in unto thy brother's wife, and marry her, and raise up seed to thy brother. And all of this will kind of like be like side stories once you see the astrological correspondences to the names of the brothers and stuff. So, and Onan knew that the seed should not be his, and it came to pass when he went into his brother's wife, and he spilled it on the ground, lest he should give seed to his brother. And the thing which he did displeased the Lord, wherefore he slew him also. Then said Judah to Tamar his daughter-in-law, Remain a widow at thy father's house till Shelah my son be grown. For he said, Lest peradventure he die. Also his brethren did, and Tamar went and dwelt in her father's house. And in the process of time the daughter of Shua's Judah's wife died, and Judah was comforted, and went up into his sheep shearers to Tamath, and his friend Hira the Adullamite. And it was told Tamar, saying, Behold, thy father-in-law goeth up to Tamath to shear his sheep. And she put her widow's garments off from her, and covered her with a veil, and wrapped herself, and sat in an open place, which is by the way to Timnath. For she saw that Shelah was grown, and she was not given unto him to wife. And when Judah saw her, he thought her to be an harlot, because she had covered her face. It's really weird. This side story is weird. And he turned unto her by the way and said, Go to, I pray thee, let me come in unto thee. For he knew not that she was his daughter-in-law. Some Jerry Springer stuff right there. And she said, What wilt thou give me, that thou mayest come in unto me? And he said, I will send thee a kid from the flock. And she said, Wilt thou give me a pledge till thou send it? And he said, What pledge shall I give thee? And she said, Thy signet, and thy bracelets, and thy staff that is in thy hand. And he gave it to her, and came unto her, and she conceived by him. Sounds to me like a business transaction just happened. Right? So, and she arose and went away, and laid by her veil from her, and put on the garments of her, we know what that's called, right? And put on the garments of her widowhood. And Judah sent the kid by the hand of his friend, the Adullamite, to receive his pledge from the woman's hand, but he found her not. Then he asked the men of that place, saying, Where is the harlot that was openly by the wayside? And they said, There was no harlot in this place. And then he returned to Judah and said, I cannot find her. And also the men of the place said that there was no harlot in this place. And Judah said, Let her take it to her, lest we be shamed. Behold, I sent this kid, and thou hast not found her. And it came to pass about 3 months after that, it was told Judah, saying, Tamar thy daughter-in-law hath played the harlot, and also, behold, she is with child by whoredom. And Judah said, Bring her forth, and let her be burnt. So we got a business transaction. Now he's figuring out it's his daughter-in-law, and she's, they're all pissed off, so now they want to burn her. This does have something to do with the story of Joseph, but we got to figure that out. When she was brought forth, she sent to her father-in-law, saying, By the man whose these are, I am with child. And she said, Discern, I pray thee, whose are these, the signet and the bracelet and the staff? And Judah acknowledged them and said, She hath been more righteous than I, because that I gave her not to Shelah my son, and he knew her again no more. Weird side story there. Got to be there for a reason, right? So when it came to pass in the time of her travail that, behold, twins were born in her womb. Ah, here we go. And it came to pass when she travailed that the one put out his hand, and that the midwife took and bound upon his hand a scarlet thread, saying, This came out first. You never notice that the kabbalist will wear a red bracelet? Has something to do with this. So when it came to pass, as he drew back his hand, that behold, his brother came out. And she said, How hast thou broken forth? This breach be upon thee. Therefore his name was called Phares. And afterwards came out his brother that had the scarlet thread upon his hand, and his name was called Zara. Back to Joseph. So Joseph was brought down to Egypt, and Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard, an Egyptian, bought him off the hands of the Ishmaelites, which had brought him down thither. I like that word, thither. And the Lord was with Joseph, and he was a prosperous man, and he was in the house of his master, the Egyptian. And his master saw the Lord was with him, and that the Lord made all that he did to prosper in his hand. And Joseph found grace in his sight, and he served him, and he made him overseer of his house, and all that he had put into his hand. And so it's funny how this Joseph character, even with his coat or without his coat, wherever he goes, people like him. They tend to, see the good in him, except for his brothers that wanted to kill him. And it came to pass from that time that he had made him overseer of his house and over all that he had. And the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake. And the blessing of the Lord was upon all that he had in the house and in the field. And he left all that he had in Joseph's hand, and he knew not aught he had, save the bread which he did eat. And Joseph was a godly and goodly person, and well favored. And it came to pass after these things that his master's wife cast her eyes upon Joseph. And she said, lie with me. So here's Joseph getting tempted by the master's wife. Lie with me. But he refused and said unto his master's wife, behold, my master wotteth not what is with me in the house, and he hath committed all that he hath to my hand. So basically, don't betray this part of yourself for anything. Even the highest temptation. That's the way I look at it. There is none greater in this house than I, neither hath he kept back anything from me but thee, because thou art his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin, there's that word again, against God? So I've gotten all this favor from the master or God or whatever, my faith in my authenticity or magic or whatever you want to call it. And yet here you are tempting me. Why should I do this wicked thing when I've been blessed with all this stuff? Right? So, and it came to pass as she spake to Joseph day by day, that he hearkened not unto her, to lie by her, or to be with her. And it came to pass about this time that Joseph went into the house to do his business, and there was none of the men of the house there within. Yeah. You can tell this is about to get bad, right? And she caught him by his garment, saying, lie with me. And he left his garment in her hand and fled. So here's the second time he lost his garment. First time, his many-colored garment, his brothers took from him and left him to die. God saved him from the pit. He took him into Egypt, basically. And now he's been tempted by the woman, or let's just say dirty deeds, and she waited till she got him all alone, grabbed him by his garment, that coat, and said, lie with me. And he bolted. I ain't doing it. Gone. And here's what happens to him. So when it came to pass, when she saw that he had left his garment in her hand, he was fled forth. That she called unto the men of her house and spake unto them, saying, see, he hath brought an Hebrew unto us to mock us. He came in unto me to lie with me, and I cried with a loud voice. So see, look, this guy brought an unworthy person because, we're of a higher status we're Egyptian, And he tried to sleep with me, and then he fled, which was a fat lie. And this is all because, he didn't fall for the temptation. He bolted. So he's getting the ass end of this one too, just for being himself, just for being who he is. Now remember, this isn't about Joseph or guys or sex or anything. Think of this about just for being who you are, the things that you're going to have to go through to stay who you truly are, right? The shit that you're going to go through. So she called unto the men of her house and spake unto them, saying, see, he hath brought in an Hebrew unto us to mock us, blah, blah, blah. And it came to pass when he heard that I lifted up my voice and cried, that he left his garment with me and fled and got him out. So she's playing the victim. And she laid up his garment by her until his Lord came home. And she spake unto him according to these words, saying, the Hebrew servant which thou hast brought unto us came in unto me to mock me. And it came to pass, as I lifted up my voice and cried, that he left his garment with me, and he fled out. And it came to pass, when his master heard the word of his wife, which she spake unto him, saying, After this manner did thy servant to me, that his wrath was kindled. So guess what happens to Joseph again? So Joseph's master took him and put him into prison, a place where the king's prisoners were bound, and he was there in prison. But the Lord was with Joseph and showed him mercy and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. And the keeper of the prison committed to Joseph's hand all the prisoners that were in the prison, and whatsoever they did there, he was the doer of it. So now he's in prison. So even this unique part of us, this, let's just say Joseph, is in prison. Even when he's shit on, again, even in the prison, they gave him all this stuff because he's still following his heart. Just like you, when you follow your heart, regardless of what the world's doing to you or trying to shit on you about, somehow or another, something will pull you through it, right? So the keeper of the prison looked not to anything that was under his hand, because the Lord was with him, and that which he did, the Lord made it to prosper. And it came to pass after these things that the butler of the king of Egypt, hold on, I'm about to kill this sumbitch. The king of Egypt and his baker had offended their lord, the king of Egypt. And Pharaoh was wroth against two of his officers, against the chief of the butlers and against the chief of the bakers. And he put them in ward in the house of the captain of the guard, into the prison, the place where Joseph was bound. And the captain of the guard charged Joseph with them, and he served them, and they continued a season in ward. So Pharaoh put his baker and butler in prison next to Joseph. So think about this, all right? Same thing happens in the Jesus story. These are stories. When he's crucified with the two, what are they? Thieves, right? Joseph's in the prison with two of Pharaoh's, I guess you could say, criminals, the butler and the baker. And they dreamed a dream, both of them, each man his dream, and one night, each man according to the interpretation of his dream, the butler and the baker of the king of Egypt, which were bound in prison. And anytime I see a story with Egypt in it, I automatically, like, what my, I guess you could say, spirit thinks is mystery, right? That's what I think. After all, Egypt is kind of like, especially nowadays, the keeper of the mysteries. So when Joseph came in unto them in the morning and looked upon them, and behold, they were sad. And he asked Pharaoh's officers that were with him in the ward of his Lord's house, saying, Why do you look so sad today? So here's Joseph again checking on people, that loving, authentic side of you, checking on people. What's wrong? What's going on? And they said unto him, We have dreamed a dream, and there is no interpreter of it. And Joseph said unto them, Do not interpretations belong to God? Tell me then, I pray you. So here's the thing. That makes no sense right there. So if someone came up to you and said, I had a dream, man, I need you to interpret it. And they said, well, don't interpretations belong to God? To most people, that means nobody can interpret it. But what is God, right? What is God? God's in us all. God is consciousness. It's everything. So basically what Joseph's telling them is we can all interpret dreams. Let me show you. And the chief butler told his dream to Joseph and said to him, In my dream, behold, a vine was before me, and in the vine were 3 branches, and it was as though it budded, and her blossoms shot forth, and the clusters thereof brought forth ripe grapes. And the Pharaoh's cup was in my hand, and I took the grapes, and pressed them into the Pharaoh's cup, and gave the cup into Pharaoh's hand. And Joseph said unto him, This is the interpretation of it. What do you think, you're God, Joseph? I thought you said God can only interpret dreams. The 3 branches are 3 days. Yet within 3 days shall Pharaoh lift up thine head, and restore thee unto thy place, and thou shalt deliver Pharaoh's cup into his hand, after the former manner, when thou wast his butler. But think on me when it shall be well with thee, and show kindness, I pray thee, unto me, and make mention of me to Pharaoh, and bring me out of this house. For indeed I was stolen away out of the land of the Hebrews, and here also I have done nothing that they should put me into the dungeon. So he tells the, is that the butler? Yeah, so he tells the butler, he's like, yeah, so this is what's going to happen. In 3 days, you're going to get out and you're going to be a butler again, and you're going to be pouring his cup for him. But when you get there, make sure that you put in a good word for me. You know what I mean? Because I'm stuck down here in prison with you. So the baker's dream. When the chief baker saw that the interpretation was good, he said unto Joseph, I also was in my dream, and behold, I had 3 white baskets on my head. And in the uppermost basket there was all manner of baked meats for Pharaoh, and the birds did eat them out of the basket upon my head. And Joseph answered and said, This is the interpretation thereof. The three baskets are 3 days. Yet within these 3 days shall Pharaoh lift up thy head from off of thee, and shall hang thee on a tree, and the birds shall eat thy flesh from off of thee. All right, so here we got, think about this, we got Joseph, we got just like Jesus, and then we got the 2, butler baker, or the 2 criminals. One's going to be saved, so to speak, right? And the other one's going to die in misery. It's all in there, man. So it came to pass the 3rd day, which was Pharaoh's birthday. Remember that number 3, we know what that is, right? That he made a feast unto all his servants, and he lifted up the head of the chief butler and of the chief baker among his servants. And he restored the chief butler unto his butlership again, and he gave the cup into Pharaoh's hand. But he hanged the chief baker, as Joseph had interpreted to them. Yet did not the chief butler remember Joseph, but forgot him. Look at that, man. So here again, Joseph's going through this thing where it's like, damn, man, all I asked for you to do is put in a good word for me. I'm looking out for all you guys. Now you threw me in a pit. You made me look like I'm some whoremonger cheating on some woman, and I didn't do that. And all I'm asking you to do is put in a good word for me to Pharaoh, which is like the king of the mysteries, so to speak, right? Just put in a good word for me. So here's what happens during initiation, right? We go through all this shit because we don't relate to the world. We're trying to be ourselves, and the world comes against us, and we hold our faith. We still go through crap, whether you're a magician, mystic, religious, doesn't really matter. And if you can stay true to yourself, regardless, after a while, you might want to give up, kind of like they did to Job, right? But he's like, just put in a word for me. And this is kind of what we do after we start to suffer so long through being ourselves. When we feel like we don't relate to anybody, we ask parts of ourselves, or we pray and say, can you just, can you just help me out a little? Just to give me just one. I mean, I'm not even asking for a big break at this point. Just something, something small here. And they even forgot that. They forgot. So it came to pass at the end of the 2 full years that Pharaoh dreamed, and behold, he stood by the river. And behold, there came up out of the river 7. There's that number again, 7. So the previous story was 3. This one's 7. And behold, he stood by the river. And there came up out of the river 7 well-favored kine and fat-fleshed, and they fed in a meadow. And behold, 7 other kine came up after them out of the river, ill-favored and lean-fleshed, and stood by the other kine upon the brink of the river. And the ill-favored and lean-fleshed kine did eat up the 7 well-flavored and fat kine. So Pharaoh awoke. And he slept and dreamed a second time. So he had 2 dreams, just like the 2 bakers. And behold, 7 ears of corn came up upon one stalk, rank and good. And behold, 7 thin ears, and blasted with the east wind, sprung up after them. And the 7 thin ears devoured the 7 rank and full ears. And Pharaoh awoke, and behold, it was a dream. So both dreams, You got 7 animals, good and bad, 7 corn, good and bad. The nasty 7 over here devoured the good 7. Same thing with the corn. The bad corn devoured the good corn in both dreams. 7 and 7. Which is kind of that divine number. Oh shit, what time is it? Yeah, I'm going to get a ding if I don't play one of these things. I got to play one of these things real quick. I might go over tonight too because I was late. Like, I'm not going to cut out early. I'm committed, man. But think about this stuff, man. Like, this is the beauty of this. There's like mysteries inside of mysteries inside of mysteries in the Bible. And if we pick apart, the astrological and biological and all these different, numerological, gematria, all these just hidden freaking things inside of here. We find all kinds of like gems. And I mean that, like really good gems in the Bible. And not just the Bible. Like, the only reason why I'm using the Bible is because I'm familiar with it. But the Bible's full of them. That's for damn sure. All right. Let me see if this will work. We'll be right back. Check.
When I step into the light, my arms are open wide. When I step into the light, my eyes searching wildly. Would you not going to breathe? Sitting on top of the world with your legs hanging free. Would you not going to breathe? Okay. When I'm walking by the water, splish splash, me and you taking a bath. When I'm walking by the water, coming through my toes, to my ankles, to my head, to my soul, I'm blown away. I'm blown away. I'm blown away. I'm blown away. Yeah.
Please drink from both cups and tell us which one makes you smaller.
Have you ever wondered, what do the stars say for me? Or, will the next month or the next year be more favorable? How about, are our 2 signs compatible? Each month, at the new moon, you can ask these questions live with me, your astrologer psychic, Mary Decina, along with host of Lighting the Void, Joe Root. Join us at the new moon for Cosmic Conditions. We look forward to working with your energy.
Every new moon at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern, right here on Fringe FM. Bumper stickers are a fun side hustle with low-cost investment that has built-in advertising to attract local customers in parking lots, rallies, gatherings, conventions, venues, and more. You could potentially sell these bumper stickers on consignment to local businesses, tattoo parlors, head shops, or any other independently owned store that might gear toward the fringe. Bumper stickers are great gift-giving ideas for friends and family. Also, a way to wake up your fellow travelers on the path without having to waste energy in tiresome debates. No car? No problem. Bumper stickers will stick to just about anything with a semi-smooth surface. Go to www.justbsme.com and get your bumper stickers today.
You're listening to Lighting the Void Radio.
Hey, Dad, your prescription will be ready in just a minute. Hey, Dad, your laundry will be ready in just a minute. Dad, your lunch will be ready in just a minute.
Hey, honey, why don't you take a minute? When you help care for a loved one, you give them as much time as you can, making sure they're safe and comfortable. But it's just as important that you take some time for yourself.
At AARP, we can help with information and useful tips on how you can maintain a healthy life balance, care for your own physical and mental well-being, and manage the challenges of caring for a loved one. Because the better care you take of yourself, the better care you can provide for your loved one.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you. You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides to support you and your loved one at aarp.org/caregiving. That's aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
All right, class, let's hear what everyone did this weekend. Jill?
Well, I raised my older sister to a big oak tree. It was at least 100 years old. My mom said I must have set a record or something. And then we went down by a stream and perched up on this huge rock and saw all of these little minnows swimming around way below us. And then I rescued my little brother from an evil slug king who was guarding him in the bush fortress. And my sister and I brought him back to our super twig fort for safety. And then we all laid out and told stories until it got dark. And the Big Dipper led us all the way home.
Wow. Awesome. Where were you, Jill?
Yeah. We went to the forest. It's not that far away. Anyone want to come this weekend?
Ask your parents to take you and your friends to the forest this week and find the fun, adventurous you. It's closer than you think. Check out discovertheforest.org.
Thanks for listening to this broadcast. Need another late night fix? You can tune in every weeknight to Lighting the Void with Joe Roop on The Fringe FM.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
If you take a step towards me, you will take my breath away. So I'll keep you close and keep my secret safe. No one else has ever loved me. No one else has ever tried. I never understood how much I could.
All right, so I pulled up this chart here. And some people argue with this, and I suggest you do your own research here. But the 12 tribes of Israel, exploring a zodiac sign. So the 12 tribes of Israel, they hold a significant place in Jewish astrology and are believed to provide insights into an individual's personality traits, destiny, and compatibility. Each sign corresponds to one of the 12 sons of Jacob, who became the progenitors of the 12 tribes of Israel. So, it's different, right? And a lot of different ones. So here they have Judah corresponds with Leo, Reuben is Aquarius, and Gad is Aries, Asher is Gemini, Naphtali Capricorn, Simon Taurus, Levi Libra, Issachar Cancer, Zebulun Virgo, Joseph is Sagittarius. Now here's this, check this out, because we're doing the study of Joseph. But Benjamin Scorpio and Dan Pisces. And other ones, they have Judah being Aries, and it's different. So you have to kind of like figure this out on your own. But the bigger picture here is that it corresponds with the 12 tribes of Israel, right? That's the bigger picture. But the story of Joseph is what we're talking about. So they say here, Joseph, Sagittarius, is associated with the archer, symbolizing optimism, adventure, and broad-mindedness. People born under this sign are adventurous, philosophical, and have a strong desire for knowledge and personal growth. So it's really up to you. You know, I don't tell people this is what this is, because there's all kinds of different interpretations of this. So how can we know for sure? Like, we can't. We have to figure this out on our own. So I'm just trying to, for the first part of this, I'm just trying to not even get deep into the astrology, not really deep into the biology, the mysteries of it, but more of like the underlying story to the mystery itself, to the nursery rhyme, so to speak. So where the hell did we leave off? Okay. So when it came to pass in the morning that his spirit was troubled, we're talking about Pharaoh here, and he sent and called for all the magicians of Egypt and all the wise men thereof. And Pharaoh told them his dreams, but none of them could interpret them unto Pharaoh. Then spake, and finally the butler speaks up, right? Oh yeah, I remember. What was I thinking? Joseph, the guy down in prison. He can do it. So Pharaoh was wroth with his servants and put me in ward in the captain of the guard's house, both me and the baker. And we dreamed a dream in one night, and I and he. And we dreamed each man according to the interpretation of his dream. And there was there with us a young man, an Hebrew, a servant to the captain of the guard. And we told him, and he interpreted to us our dreams, to each man according to his dream he did interpret. It's a lot of like Shakespearean talk for, yeah, this guy down there, the Hebrew dude, he's good at this. So it came to pass, as he interpreted to us, so it was. Me he restored unto mine office, and him he hanged. So Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, and they brought him hastily out of the dungeon, and shaved himself, and changed his raiment, and then he came unto Pharaoh. Feels like that Eminem moment, right? Where you only get one shot. So Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I have dreamed a dream, and there is none that can interpret it. And I have heard say of thee that thou canst understand a dream to interpret it. And Joseph answered Pharaoh, saying the same thing he did before. It is not in me. God shall give Pharaoh an answer of peace. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, in my dream, behold, I stood upon the bank of the river, and behold, there came up out of the river 7 kine, fat-fleshed and well-favored, and they fed in a meadow. And then 7 other kine came up after them, poor and ill-favored and lean-fleshed. I've never seen anything like this in the land of Egypt. And the lean and the ill-favored kine ate up the first 7 fat kine. And when they had eaten them up, it could not be known that they had eaten them, but they were still ill-favored. In other words, they ate all the good ones, and they were still skinny. And so I saw in my dream, and behold, 7 ears came up, and 1 stalk full and good, and then 7 ears, withered and thin, and blasted with the east wind, sprung up after them, and the thin ears devoured the 7 good ones. And I told this unto the magicians, but there was none that could declare it for me. So Joseph said unto Pharaoh, the dream of Pharaoh is one. God hath showed Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 good kine are 7 years, and the 7 good ears are 7 years. The dream is one. And the 7 thin and ill-favored kine that came up after them are 7 years, and the 7 empty ears blasted with the east wind shall be 7 years of famine. And this is the thing which I have spoken unto Pharaoh. What God is about to do, he showeth unto Pharaoh. So he's foretelling the future here, basically. There will be 7 years of great plenty throughout all of the land of Egypt. And then there shall arise after those 7 years, or 7 more years of famine. And all the plenty shall be forgotten in the land of Egypt, and the famine shall consume the land. And the plenty shall not be known in the land by reason of that famine following, for it shall be very grievous. And for that the dream was doubled unto Pharaoh twice. It is because the thing is established by God, and God will shortly bring it into pass. So right there, Joseph's saying, look, if I show you something and it's doubled up, in other words, a synchronicity, that means it's coming from God. Now therefore let Pharaoh look out a man discreet and wise, and set him over the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh do this, and let him appoint officers over the land, and take up 1/5 part of the land in Egypt in the 7 plenteous years. And let him gather all the food of those good years that come, and lay up corn under the hand of Pharaoh, and let them keep food in the cities. And that food shall be for store to the land against the 7 years of famine, which shall be in the land of Egypt, that land perish not through the famine. So here Joseph's telling the Pharaoh, or that part of ourselves is telling, the mystery, basically. Look, send somebody out that's wise enough to take 1/5 part of everything and store it. So when those other 7 years come, we'll have plenty. Everything will be fine. There's a mystery there too. I haven't quite deciphered that one. This is going to turn into a playlist for sure. So, and the thing was good in the eyes of Pharaoh and in the eyes of all his servants. And Pharaoh said unto his servants, Can we find such a one as this is a man in whom the Spirit of God is? And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, For as much as God hath showed thee all this, there is none so discreet and wise as thou art. Thou shalt be over my house, and according unto thy word shall all my people be ruled. Only in the throne will I be greater than thou. Bam. He just became Diddy right there, right? Like the biggest dude ever. So he went through his brothers betraying him, actually wanting to kill him, and then they threw him in a pit, him being sold into slavery, and then those people even still tried to screw him over. You know, one of his master's wife tried to sleep with him. He said, I ain't doing it. That ain't me. And she lied and accused him of being this person or whatever. So he was sent into prison. He went through years of all this stuff of just being Joseph. In other words, you just being who you are. And finally, he got his chance through these synchronicities because he asked just that one thing to that baker. Man, can you just put in a good word for me? Can you just help me out just a little? And even he forgot until this happened. And now Joseph is set over all of Egypt. Matter of fact, he's set over everything so much that there's nothing bigger than him other than Pharaoh, and only because Pharaoh sits on the throne. Basically, he just became a massive king, so to speak, you know. Thou shalt be over my house, and according unto thy word shall all my people be ruled. Only in the throne will I be greater than thou. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, See, I have set thee over all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh took off his ring from his hand, and put it on Joseph's hand, and arrayed him in vestures of fine linen, and put a gold chain about his neck. And he made him to ride in the second chariot which he had, and they cried before him, Bow the knee. And he was made ruler over all of the land of Egypt. Oh, they should just cut the story off right there. But wait, there's more. So Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I am Pharaoh, and without thee shall no man lift up his hand or foot in all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh called Joseph's name Zapnath-Paneah, and he gave him to wife Asenath, the daughter of Potiphera, priest of On. And Joseph went out over all the land of Egypt. So because he was himself, now he's a badass, right? He's blinging, and he's got a cool Egyptian wife. Come on. So what, I know it doesn't seem like when we meditate or be Christ-like or be authentic or be who you really are or who you really want to be, regardless of what the world is doing or who the hell you think you are to be that way or whatever, like his brothers were, right? You are, most of the time, you will go through suffering. As long as you don't change, you'll persevere. We hope. Let's push on here. The 7 years of plenty. Remember, this started when he was 17. Now he's 30 years old. And Joseph was 30 years old when he stood before Pharaoh. Now when Jacob saw that there was corn in Egypt, Jacob took unto his sons, Why do ye look upon another? And he said, Behold, I have heard that there is corn in Egypt. Get ye down hither and buy for us some corn. I think I skipped some shit. All right. I don't want to skip this. It's important. So Joseph went out from the presence of Pharaoh and went throughout all the land of Egypt. And in the 7 plenteous years, the earth brought forth hand by handfuls, just like he said in the dream. And he gathered up all the food of the 7 years which were in the land of Egypt, and laid up food in the cities. The food of the field, which was round about every city, laid he up in the same. And Joseph gathered corn as the sand of the sea, a whole, let's just say a ton of corn, without number is what it says here. And unto Joseph were born 2 sons before the years of famine came, which Asenath, the daughter of Potiphar, priest of On, bare unto him. So here we got a Hebrew that's not even worthy to be in the presence of Egyptians, so to speak, like the woman that was trying to come against him. He's now married to one, and he's got 2 children by them. And Joseph called the name of the firstborn Manasseh, for God said, He hath made me forget all my toil and all my father's house. And the name of the second called he Ephraim, for God hath caused me to be fruitful in the land of my affliction. So that's what those names actually mean. Manasseh means he made me forget all of my toil, and Ephraim, which has caused me to be fruitful in the land of my affliction, or in strife and sorrow. Hopefully I can get through this, and I'll tell you guys some cool stuff here in a second. So in the 7 years of plenteousness that was in the land of Egypt were ended, and 7 years of dearth began to come, according as Joseph had said. And the dearth was in all lands, but in all the land of Egypt there was bread. And when all the land of Egypt was famished, the people cried to Pharaoh for bread. And Pharaoh said unto all the Egyptians, Go unto Joseph, what he saith to do, you do it. And the famine was over all the face of the earth. And Joseph opened all the storehouses, and sold unto the Egyptians, and the famine waxed sore in the land of Egypt. And all countries came into Egypt to Joseph for to buy corn, because that the famine was so sore in all the lands. So, back to Jacob. So when Jacob saw or heard about, hey, there's corn being sold in Egypt, he told his sons to go get some. So he said, Behold, I have heard that there is corn in Egypt. Get you down thither and buy for us from thence, that we may live and not die. Because remember, Jacob already said, without my son, I feel like I'm just going to be sorrowful until I die. But let's get some corn. And Joseph's 10 brethren went down to buy corn in Egypt. But Benjamin, Joseph's brother, Jacob, sent not with his brethren, for he said, lest peradventure a mischief befall him. And the sons of Israel came to buy corn among those that came, for the famine was in the land of Canaan. And Joseph was the governor over the land, and it was that sold to all the people of the land. And Joseph's brethren came and bowed down themselves before him with their faces to the earth. So you remember the very first dream that he told them, and they were like, nah, you ain't shit, and then we're going to kill you because you think you are. And here they are doing exactly what his first dream said. They're bowing down before him. And Joseph saw his brethren, and he knew them, but made himself strange unto them, and spake roughly unto them. And he said unto them, Whence come ye? And they said, From the land of Canaan, to buy food. And Joseph knew his brethren, but they knew him not. And Joseph remembered the dreams which he dreamed of them, and said unto them, Ye are spies to see the nakedness of the land, ye are come. So he's messing with them, right? I would too. I'd be pissed, because you guys betrayed me. Bastards. And they said unto him, Nay, my lord, but to buy food are thy servants come. We're all one man's son. We are true men. Thy servants are no spies. And he said unto them, Nay, but to see the nakedness of the land ye are come. And they said, Thy servants are 12 brethren. Here we go, 12, remember? The sons of one man in the land of Canaan. And behold, the youngest is this day with our father, and one is not. So there's 10 brothers there. One, Benjamin, is still with Jacob, and Joseph, the other one, is right there in front of them, and they don't even know it. But Joseph knows it. And Joseph said unto them, That is it that I spake unto you, saying, Ye are spies. Hereby ye shall be proved by the life of Pharaoh. Ye shall not go forth hence, except your youngest brother come hither. Send one of you, and let him fetch your brother, and ye shall be kept in prison, that your words may be proved, whether there be any truth in you, or else by the life of Pharaoh surely ye are spies. And he put them all together into the ward for 3 days. That's not a coincidence, right? 3 days. Same thing that happened to the butler and the other guy. 3 days. So he put his brothers in prison for 3 days. But they have to go get Benjamin and bring him back. And Joseph said unto them the 3rd day, This do and live, for I fear God. If ye be true men, let one of your brethren be bound in the house of your prison, Go ye, carry corn for the famine of your houses, but bring your youngest brother unto me. So shall your words be verified, and ye shall not die. And they did so. And they said one to another, We are very guilty concerning our brother, in that we saw the anguish of his soul when he besought us, and we would not hear, therefore is this distress come upon us. And Reuben answered them, saying, Spake I not unto you, saying, Do not sin against the child, and ye would not hear? Therefore, behold, also his blood is required. And they knew not that Joseph understood them, for he spake unto them by an interpreter. So basically what they're saying to each other is like, oh man, karma's come back to haunt us, man. They're saying it in Hebrew. Like, we're screwed. This is all happening to us. We're getting locked up in prison, and all this shit's happening to us because of what we did to Joseph. And this is your fault. Remember, these are all just thoughts. These are parts of you. And they knew not that Joseph understood them. And he turned himself about from them and wept and returned to them again. So Joseph starts crying, and communed with them and took from them Simon and bound him before their eyes. Then Joseph commanded to fill their sacks with corn and to restore every man's money into his sack and to give them provisions for the way, and thus did he unto them. So he gave them all their corn, and he even gave them the money that they brought to buy the corn with. He put it back in their sacks. And as one of them opened his sack to give his ass provender in the inn, he espied his money, for behold, it was in the sack's mouth. And he said unto his brethren, My money is restored, and lo, it is even in my sack. And their heart failed them. They were afraid, saying one to another, What is this that God hath done to us? So these, to me, are still like the negative, like these brothers have been the negative thing since the beginning. And even when their brother Joseph blessed them, that they don't really know it's him yet, he even gave them all the stuff they came for, put their money back in their sack, and they're still so pessimistic that they looked at the money and they're like, shit, how'd this money get in here? Did we forget to pay? Now they're going to think we're thieves, man. Like, how could God be doing this to us? And they came unto Jacob their father unto the land of Canaan, and told him all that befell unto them, saying, The man who is the Lord of the land spake roughly to us, and took us for spies of the country. And we said unto him, We are true men, we are no spies. We be 12 brethren, sons of our father. One is not, and the youngest is this day with our father in the land of Canaan. And the man, the Lord of the country, said unto us, Hereby shall I know that ye are true men. Leave one of your brethren here with me, and take food for the famine of your households, and be gone. And bring your youngest brother unto me, then shall I know that ye are no spies, but ye are true men. So will I deliver you your brother, and ye shall traffic in the land. And it came to pass, as they emptied their sacks, that behold, every man's bundle of money was in his sack. And when both they and their father saw the bundles of money, they were afraid. And Jacob their father said unto them, May have you bereaved of my children, Joseph is not, and Simon is not. In other words, I lost Joseph, now Simon's locked up in prison, and now you want to take Benjamin away? All these things are against me. God is against me. And Reuben spake unto his father, saying, Slay my 2 sons, if I bring him not to thee. Deliver him into my hand, and I will bring him to thee again. Reuben's saying, Look, you can kill my 2 kids, but I'll make sure Benjamin comes back. And he said, My son shall not go down with you, for his brother is dead, and he is left alone. If mischief befall him by the way in which ye go, then shall ye bring down my gray hairs with sorrow to the grave. So Jacob's still saying, no, you can't take Benjamin. And the famine was sore in the land. And it came to pass, when they had eaten up the corn which they had brought out of Egypt, their father said unto them, Go again and buy us a little food. And Judah, this is still the same 2 brothers that spoke up before time, Reuben and Judah. And Judah spake unto him, saying, The man did solemnly protest to us, saying, Ye shall not see my face, except your brother be with you. And if thou wilt send our brother with us, we will go down and buy thee food. But if thou wilt not send him, we will not go down, for the man said unto us, Ye shall not see my face, except your brother be with you. And Israel said, Jacob said, wherefore dealt ye so ill with me, as to tell the man whether ye had yet a brother? And they said, the man asked us straightly out of our state. He said, why did you even tell him you had another brother? Because he asked, Pop. And our kindred, saying, is your father yet alive? Have ye another brother? And we told him according to the tenor of these words. Could we certainly know that he would say, bring your brother down? So we didn't know he was dad. We didn't know he was going to say, go get your other brother and fucking bring him down here. And Judah said unto Israel his father, send the lad with me, and we will arise and go, that we may live and not die, both we and thou, and also our little ones. And I will be surety for him. So I'm going to skip some of this because of the time, so I can make sure I get to the end of this. So their father Israel said unto them, if it must be so, do this. Take of the best fruits in the land in your vessels, and carry down the man a present, a little balm and a little honey, spices, myrrh, nuts, and almonds. So Joseph's even getting presents from Jacob, just to make sure. And take double money in your hand, and the money that was brought against in the mouth of your sacks carried again in your hand. Peradventure it was an oversight. So take double the money. That way he knows that, like, you know, if he thinks you stole the money from before, you can give him that money and then use this other money to buy more food. So take also your brother and go unto the man, and God Almighty give you mercy before the man, that he may send away your other brother and Benjamin. If I be bereaved of my children, I am bereaved. So the men took that present, and they took double the money in their hand and Benjamin, and rose up and went down to Egypt and stood before Joseph. And when Joseph saw Benjamin with them, he said to the ruler of his house, bring these men home and slay and make ready, for these men shall dine with me at noon. And the man did as Joseph bade, and the man brought the men into Joseph's house. And the men were afraid because they were brought into Joseph's house. They're still scared. And they said, because of the money that was returned in our sacks the first time are we brought in, that he may seek occasion against us and fall upon us and take us for bondmen and our asses. And they came near to the steward of Joseph's house, and they communed with him at the door of the house, and said, O sir, we came indeed down at the first time to buy food. And when we came down here, we went back. I'm just skipping a bunch of words here. And all of the money that you put in our sacks was still there. And so we brought more money down, plus that money, so that you don't think we're thieves or weird. And Joseph said to them, peace be to you, fear not. Your God and the God of your father hath given you treasure in your sacks. I had your money. And he brought Simon into them. And the man brought the men into Joseph's house, and gave them water, and they washed their feet. And he gave their asses provender. And they made ready the present against Joseph that came at noon, for they heard that they should eat bread there. And when Joseph came home, they brought him the present which was in their hand, and into the house, and bowed themselves to him to the earth. Here they are again, bowing down to him, like he dreamed. And he asked them out of their welfare, and said, is your father well? The old man of whom ye spake, is he still alive? And they answered, thy servant our father is in good health, he is yet alive. And they bowed down their heads and made obeisance. And he lifted up his eyes and saw his brother Benjamin, his mother's son, and said, is this your youngest brother, of whom ye spake unto me? And he said, God be gracious unto thee, my son. And Joseph made haste, for his bowels did yearn upon his brother. In other words, Joseph started getting emotional when he saw his little brother. They still don't know it's Joseph. And he sought where to weep, and he entered into his chamber and wept there. And he washed his face and went out and refrained himself and said, and sat on bread. And they sat on for him by himself, and for them by themselves, and for the Egyptians, which did eat with him by themselves, because the Egyptians might not eat bread with the Hebrews, for that is an abomination unto the Egyptians. And they set before him the firstborn according to his birthright, and the youngest according to his youth, and the men marveled at one another. And he took and sent messes unto them from before him, but Benjamin's mess was 5 times as much as of any other. So he gave his little brother 5 times more food, basically. And they drank and were merry with him. So think about that. Is there like a part of you that just wants to be so real and loving and authentic and connect consciously to yourself and others so bad that even when it betrays you or other people betray you, that when you get the chance to love them again, you still do it? Like right now, Joseph's kind of toying with them, but he's still loving them. He's still crying over his little brother, just like Jesus did over the sinners, even the people that were hurting him, trying to kill him and hurt him and tell him he ain't shit and he ain't God and how dare you this and who do you think you are that and I'm going to chop you down to size and all this other stuff, which is what happens to us when we try to be ourselves in this place, like truly ourselves. And he's, most people would take revenge on their brothers, right? Or whoever hurt them, but not Joseph, not Jesus, not this part of us. We don't want that. I know I'm ranting a little bit, but I believe we all have this part of us, no matter who has hurt us, no matter if we've hurt ourselves or our thoughts have come against us or people have come against us. I think there's a part of us that wants love and peace and prosperity and just, that childlike part of us wants it so bad that we're still willing to forgive like this if things be peaceful. But that's not how the real world works, right? Joseph's final test. He commanded the steward of his house, saying, "Fill the men's sacks with food again, as much as they can carry, and put every man's money in his sack's mouth. And put my cup, the silver cup, in the sack's mouth of the youngest, and his corn money." And he did according to the word that Joseph had spoken. And soon as the morning was light, the men were sent away, they and their asses. And when they were gone out of the city and not yet far off, Joseph said unto his steward, "Follow after them. And when you overtake them, say unto them, Wherefore have ye rewarded evil for good? Is not this in which my Lord drinketh, and whereby indeed he divineth, yet have done evil in so doing?" So he's still messing with them. He put the cup in there so that when they find the cup, they're going to be like, oh shit, he's going to think we're a thief again. So the servant overtook them. In other words, he caught up with them, and he spoke to them and said, "Wherefore saith my Lord these words? God forbid that thy servant should do according to this thing. Behold, the money which we found in our sacks' mouths we brought again unto thee out of the land of Canaan. How then should we steal out of thy Lord's house silver?" Like they're saying, why the hell would we steal? We didn't do it that time or this time. "With whomsoever of thy servants it be found, both let him die, and we will also be my Lord's bondmen." And he said, "Now also let it be according unto your words. He with whom it is found shall be my servant, and ye shall be blameless." Then they speedily took down every man's sack, because whoever's got this damn cup is going to end up being Joseph's manservant, right? And he searched and began at the eldest, and left at the youngest, and the cup was found in Benjamin's sack. Of course, Joseph put it in his little brother's sack on purpose. Then they rent their clothes, and laded every man his ass, and returned to the city. And Judah and his brethren, now they got to go back and tell their dad, guess what? We lost Benjamin, right? So, and Judah and his brethren came to Joseph's house, for he was yet there, and they fell before him on the ground and said, "Look, we can't do this," basically. And Joseph said unto them, "What deed is this that ye have done? Was ye not such a man as I can certainly divine?" And Judah said, funny how none of the other brothers speak up, but Judah and Reuben, "What shall we say unto my Lord? What shall we speak, or how shall we clear ourselves? God hath found out iniquity of thy servants. Behold, we are my Lord's servants, both we and he, also with whom the cup is found." And he said, "God forbid that I should do so, but the man in whose hand the cup is found, he shall be my servant. And as for you, go back in peace to your father." Then Judah came near unto him and said, O my Lord, let thy servant, I pray thee, speak a word in my Lord's ears. In other words, let me please talk to you for a second. And let not thine anger burn against thy servant, for thou art even as Pharaoh. In other words, I respect. With all due respect. My Lord asked his servant, saying, Have ye a father or brother? And we said unto my Lord, We have a father, an old man, and a child of his old age, a little one. And his brother is dead, Joseph. And he alone is left of his mother, and his father loveth him. And thou saidst to thy servant, Bring him down unto me, that I may set my eyes upon him. And we said unto my Lord, That lad cannot leave his father, for if he should leave his father would surely die. And thou said unto thy servants, Except your youngest brother come down with you, ye shall see my face no more. So they're just retelling the story back. So we went and told, our father let us bring him down. I'm going to skip all this. And if we don't bring Benjamin back, our father's going to die from he's going to fall apart. Let thy servant abide instead of the lad, a bondman to my Lord, and let the lad go up with his brethren. So Joseph's been toying with him for a while. Then Joseph could not refrain himself, for all them stood by him, and he cried, Because every man go out from thee. And there stood no man with him, while Joseph made himself known unto his brethren. And he wept aloud. And the Egyptians in the house of Pharaoh heard. And Joseph said unto his brethren, I am Joseph. Doth my father yet live? And his brethren could not answer him, for they were troubled at his presence. Yeah, I bet. They probably thought, oh, shit, And Joseph said unto his brethren, Come near to me, I pray you. And they came near. And he said, I am Joseph your brother, whom ye sold into Egypt. Now therefore be not grieved nor angry with yourselves that ye sold me hither, for God did send me before ye to preserve your life. For these 2 years hath the famine been in the land, and yet there are 5 years, in the which there shall neither be earing nor harvest. And God sent me before you to preserve you a posterity in the earth, and to save your lives by great deliverance. Kind of like how Christ supposedly gave his life. It's a foreshadowing is what I'm saying. So now it was not you that sent me hither, but God, and he that made me a father to Pharaoh, and Lord of all his house, and a ruler throughout all the land of Egypt. Haste ye, and go up to my father, and say unto him, Thus saith thy son Joseph, God hath made me Lord of all Egypt. Come down unto me, and tarry not. So he's telling them to go get his dad, and come down here. And thou shalt dwell in the land of Goshen, and thou shalt be near unto me, thou and thy children and thy children's children. And behold, your eyes see, and I'm skipping some stuff here, and the eyes of my brother Benjamin, that is my mouth that speaketh unto you. And ye shall tell my father of all my glory in Egypt, and of all that ye have seen, and ye shall haste and bring down my father here. And he fell upon his brother Benjamin's neck and wept, and Benjamin wept upon his neck. Moreover, he kissed all his brethren. He kissed all his brethren who conspired to kill him, and wept upon them, and after this his brethren talked with him. So it's a pretty trippy story, right? Like, I haven't finished the story, but just as some notes here. Remember, like, this story has a literal version, and then it has like something that you need to understand. And then there's the 12, right? The 12 tribes of Israel, the 12 corresponding zodiac signs, the 3 days and 3 nights of the dreams, the 2 bakers, the 2 dreams, and the 7 and 7 dreams. All this stuff is a mystery that is going to be unlocked. But if you think about Joseph just being that part of you, and it's easy to think about it this way. Imagine Joseph, the coat of many colors, this unique, divine, but unique individual part of you that doesn't relate to the thoughts in your head, because you got right side and left side. You got the creative brain, the Shekinah, the feminine side, and you've got the logical masculine side, right? But also, when you go down this path in your life, like, the older you get, sometimes the harder it is, where you just feel like giving in and just being like, yeah, you know what? I'm not that special, and neither is everybody else. It's all bullshit. And then you're watching Facebook videos, and then you're comparing yourself like to everything and everybody. Do I make enough money? Am I woman enough? Am I man enough? Look at all these videos telling me I'm not, and I'm not this and that. And just like his brothers, like, who the hell do you think you are? And the more you try to be yourself, right, the more shit comes against you, or throws you in a pit, or puts you in a tomb. It's not really too hard to understand. But no matter what we are doing, everything is more important than your Joseph self, your authentic self, your coat of many colors. Everything matters more than that. Remember that. I mean, who the hell do you think you are? So love, consciousness, unity, your individuality that relates to no one on this earth, not fully, right? None of that crap matters more than all this other stuff. And don't you forget it, or we'll conspire to kill you or this part of you. But what I want you to look at is, like, how has that really worked out for us? I mean, look at the world today. Look at history. The wars, the murders, the crap, the pedophilia, the shit. It just gets worse and worse. Depression and anxiety is at an all-time high. No matter how magical and spiritual we pretend to be, or how conspiratorial, or how much we dig for the truth, all of this crap is at an all-time high because we refuse. A lot of times we lose this battle. And this just isn't in the world. This story of Joseph plays out in everything. Even like, say for instance, even like when you meditate, right? Do you know how hard it is to get those down? I'm sure you do if you meditate, but I've been trying to meditate for years, and it's so hard to get those thoughts. You know, people say, take no thought. Even says in the Bible, take no thought. Then I be, single, the body will fill with light, all this stuff. But if you really try to meditate, and I mean really try and relax and focus, you can't stop the thoughts from coming. Everything about the day, your bills, all this other stuff, the song you heard, all your problems, just bah, 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 bah. You can't. And really, we're these little bitty beings and this little pale blue dot and this massive universe, but we got all these thoughts and problems and shit that we compare ourselves to constantly, even when we try to meditate, or even when we live our lives. Taxes and your dollar and whatever, Your possessions, think about that. What other people think of you, all the stuff you're afraid of, your possessions, your resources, everything, physical stuff, all you got to worry about. We'll always try to kill the authentic Christ mind or individual self. Not just ignore you or ostracize you, which is bad enough. That's traumatic in itself. But it will try to destroy who you are and kill it. Just like his brothers killed Joseph, Or they talked about it until a couple of brothers stood up and was like, no, let's wash our hands of the blood. Let's just isolate them and throw them in a pit, So Reuben and Judah both spoke up and said, let us not kill him. I'm too busy. I'm going to wash my hands of it, Meditation is made almost impossible in this world with all this thought spinning. Try this. Get on YouTube and just doom scroll on TikTok and Facebook for a while, right? Like, just do it for about, 30 minutes. And then go try to meditate after that. And just observe all the shitstorm of thoughts that come into your head. Feel the emotions those thoughts make you feel. You're so far from meditating or being yourself. It's crazy. Like I said, are you Rich enough, poor enough, man enough, woman enough? Are you likable? Are you happy? You're not, when you meditate, you're supposed to take no thought. You're supposed to clear all this stuff out. And eventually they'll strip you of your coat, just like Genesis 27:33. It came to pass they stripped him of his coat of many colors. Those thoughts and all this shit will strip you of that Christ-like or that childlike energy that you have. Your logical thoughts will run away from you, or your lower emotions will take over, right? It'll just take over. Mr. Smith in the Matrix, so to speak. Or like, just like Christ, they crucified him and pardoned his garments. That's what it means when you strip someone's coat of many colors. You strip somebody of their wisdom, their kingship, their love, their consciousness, like the divine part of who they are. Anybody that goes around saying that they're a child of God or a child of the Creator, or more than anything other than just an animal that's here to earn and fall in line of whatever category you're supposed to fall in. If you're any more of that, we will strip you of all this goodness and plot to kill this part of you, in you. So there's a collective thing that's coming against all of us to do this, but there's also an individual part of you that does this too. And if you don't believe me, go try to meditate. Just take in all of this shit from all your screens and then go try to meditate and see how it works out. Thoughts in the mind can run away from you, but you have to take it easy on yourself too. Like, it's nature. It happens to all of us. So at moment to moment, there's this Joseph, this coat of many colors, or this Christ Jesus, or this Hare Krishna, or this part of us that's fighting all this other shit all the time. It's only natural. It's just what's going on, you know. But if the thing is you have to keep, at least in my opinion, you have to keep this fight up, right? Like, because if this part of you dies, or if you throw it in a pit, or if you ignore this part of you, or if you can aspire to kill this in you, well, I'll just go along to get along, right? Who needs the conflict, right? Or whatever. Whatever you do, you should be surrendering to this Shekinah, or this spirit, or this Joseph, this coat of many colors, or this Jesus, or this Krishna, or this Neo, or the one in the Matrix, or whatever. That's really what you should be surrendering to. But we're in this constant battle with this other stuff. But there'll always be times in our life when, like Joseph, goes to the pit. I mean, it just happens. There'll always be times in our lives when we're wounded. Things like this happen, or someone sells us out or betrays us for their own emotional or mental or gain or physical gain. Whether it's 20 pieces of silver or 30 pieces of silver. Joseph was sold for 20, Jesus was sold for 30. But what we really should be asking is, who's Jacob? Jacob, that's this part of us that feels broken and sorrowful. We have like all of these astrological energies inside of us. We're all different, right? But let's just say we have all these 12 suns inside of us. And there's one specifically. I mean, this one unique, this unique sun, this part of us, or S-U-N sun. If that isn't there, we suffer. We feel so sad. Just like Jacob here is. Like, if I lost this part of him, man, I'm just sad. If I lose another one, Benjamin, which is the newest one, which is a whole other story, right? It's the youngest child, the most evolved part. If I lose that one and Joseph, damn, like I might as well just die. So there's this thing that we're trying to grow into, and there's this thing that we were born, like who we are. So you were born this badass person, and the world kind of shaped you into something else, and that fight's going on all the time, right? But there's also this person that you're trying to grow into and evolve into, which to me is what Benjamin represents, the youngest child, you know. I think, in my opinion, we should protect this part of us at all times. Because ask yourself this, and be honest with yourself, like what reward, I've asked myself this 100 times, if I stay true to who I am in my heart, and every move I make from the heart, what reward does it give me? Will it give me wisdom, or will I get all of the good stuff in life? Because I got to be honest with you, we all want both. I want answers to all of this knowledge and wisdom. I want to know all this stuff and this truth, but I also want all of the good stuff in life. And here in this story, Joseph's being rewarded by the mysteries, or by Egypt and Pharaoh. They give him everything. And instead of just, instead of being happy with that, this part of ourselves says, no, I still have these other brothers or these other people that I love, even though they betrayed me, or even though this part of myself betrayed me. I still want to take this part of what I learned, and give back. And it's funny how this stuff works out. These broken roads that we go through that we think are goddamn, they are awful, some of them. They are. They lead us, once we get to a certain place in our life, we realize, oh, that's why I went through it. And that's what Joseph is telling his brothers. When they're all tripping, they're like, man, we conspired to kill you, right? Like we were going to kill you. We threw you into a pit. We told Dad that you died. We covered your little unique coat that you love so much. We covered that up and with blood. And here you are embracing us. And he's saying, yeah, because it led me to this place that I could take care of you. This broken road led me to this place where I learned so much of the mysteries and also got so much that I can now take care of you. And if I hadn't gone through that, there would have been famine and all kinds of stuff. You might be dead right now. So think of the positive side, which in this whole story, that unique colored coat, that Joseph person, or that Sagittarius person, and this whole story is that no matter what's happening to him, he's staying positive and he's finding favor from people. And no matter what's happening to the rest of these brothers or the other parts of ourselves, they're scared shitless. Except for maybe Judah and Reuben. At least they've got the balls to speak up, So Joseph now wants Jacob, the fatherly part. I know he's worried. I know he's worried about me. So bring him here. Haste ye and go up unto my father, saying to him, Thus saith my son Joseph, God hath made me Lord of all Egypt. Come down unto me. Go get Dad and bring him here. And you guys can dwell in the land of Goshen. And thou shalt be near unto me, and thy children, and thy children's children, and your flocks, and thy herds, and all that thou hast. So, what is this telling us? Being our unique selves, no matter what shit that we go through, no matter who or what betrays us. When we come out on the other end, we can take care of we can take care of all kinds of stuff because we now have this experience and this wisdom. So there I'll nourish thee. And I'm going to skip over because I'm running out of time here. So even Pharaoh invites them down. He kissed all his brethren and wept upon them. Here's Joseph crying over his brothers that wanted to kill him. And after that his brethren talked with him. And the fame thereof was heard in Pharaoh's house, saying, Joseph's brethren are come. And it pleased Pharaoh well, and his servants. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, Say unto thy brethren, This do you lade your beasts, and go, get you into the land of Canaan. And take your father and your households, and come unto me, and I will give you the good of the land of Egypt, and ye shall eat the fat of the land. Now that art commanded, this do ye, take your wagons out of the land of Egypt for your little ones, and for your wives, and bring your father, and come. And regard not your stuff, for the good of all the land of Egypt is yours. So here's Pharaoh telling Joseph, don't worry about your stuff. All of Egypt is yours. I got you. And the children of Israel did so, and Joseph gave them wagons according to the commandment of Pharaoh, and gave them provision for the way. To all of them he gave each man changes of raiment, but to Benjamin he gave 300 pieces of silver, and 5 changes of raiment. And to his father he sent after this manner 10 asses laden with good things of Egypt, and 10 she-asses laden with corn and bread and meat for his father by the way. So he sent his brethren away, and they departed. And he said unto them, See that ye fall not out of thy way. And they went up out of Egypt, and came into the land of Canaan, and unto Jacob their father, and told him, saying, Joseph is yet alive. He's like the rooster. He ain't going to die, right? And he is governor over all the land of Egypt. And Jacob's heart fainted, for he believed them not. And they told him all the words of Joseph, which he had said unto them. And when he saw the wagons which Joseph had sent to carry him, the spirit of Jacob their father revived. And Israel said, It is enough. Joseph my son is yet alive, and I will go and see him before I die. And Israel took his journey, Jacob, Israel, all of them, with all that he had. And he came to Beersheba, and offered sacrifices unto the God of his father Isaac. And God spake unto Israel in the visions of the night, and said, Jacob, Jacob. And he said, Here am I. And he said, I am God, the God of thy father. Fear not to go down into Egypt, for I will there make of thee a great nation. I will go down with thee into Egypt, and I will also surely bring thee up again. And Joseph shall put his hand upon thine eyes. And Jacob rose from Beersheba, and the sons of Israel carried Jacob their father, and their little ones, and their wives, and the wagons which Pharaoh sent to carry him. And they took their cattle and their goods, which they had gotten in the land of Canaan, and came into Egypt, Jacob and all his seed with him, his sons and his sons' sons with him, his daughters and his sons' daughters, and all his seed brought he into him into Egypt. Now, I know this story sounds ridiculous, right, to the layman, but it's got a bigger meaning. It's got all kinds of meanings in it, too, which is like, that's why I'm saying this is the first part. We'll get into the deeper stuff later. Check these names out. Y'all ready? And these are the names of the children of Israel, which came into Egypt, Jacob and his sons, Reuben, Jacob's firstborn, and the sons of Reuben, Hanok and Phalu, and Hezron, and Carmi. And the sons of Simon, Jamuel and Jamin, and Ohad, and Jachin. Remember, Jachin's one of the names of the pillars, right? And Zohar, and Shaul, the son of Canaanitish women. And the sons of Levi, Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. And the sons of Judah, and Onan, and Shelah, and Pharez, and Zerah. But and Onan died in the land of Canaan. And the sons of Pharez were Hezron and Hamuel. And we can go on and on. There's so many of them. And all of these names actually mean something, which we can pick apart later. I think we should. Let me get past all these names. All the souls that came with Jacob into Egypt, which came out of his loins, besides Jacob's sons' wives, and all the souls were 66. And the sons of Joseph, which were born him in Egypt, were 2 souls. And all the souls of the houses of Jacob, which came into Egypt, were 70. What did they put that in there for? Must be just some random number. And he sent Judah before him unto Joseph to direct his face unto Goshen, and they came into the land of Goshen. And Joseph made ready his chariot, and went up to meet Israel his father to Goshen, and presented himself unto him. And he fell on his neck, and wept on his neck a good while. And Israel said unto Joseph, Now let me die, since I have seen thy face, because thou art yet alive. And Joseph said unto his brethren and unto his father's house, I will go up and show Pharaoh, and say unto him, My brothers and my father's house, which were in the land of Canaan, are come unto me. And the men are shepherds, for their trade hath been to feed cattle, and they have brought their flocks and their herds and all that they have. Then it shall come to pass when Pharaoh shall call you, and shall say, What is your occupation? And that ye shall say, Thy servant's trade hath been about cattle, shepherds, right? From our youth even until now, both we and our fathers, but ye may dwell in the land of Goshen, for every shepherd is an abomination unto the Egyptians. Which is stupid. But Pharaoh didn't care. Then Joseph came and told Pharaoh and said, My father and my brethren and their flocks and their herds and all that they have are come, and out of the land of Canaan, and behold, they are in the land of Goshen. And he took some of his brethren, even 5 men, and presented them unto Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said unto his brethren, What is your occupation? And they said unto Pharaoh, Thy servants are shepherds, both we and also our fathers. It's pretty trippy, right? You remember how I was telling you guys before, like, the true nature of spirituality is to serve? It isn't about what's in it for me. You know, I know I'm going to sound religious when I say that, but if you can get past that, God will take care of it. If you can get past it, if you have that kind of faith. True spirituality and the true nature of that Joseph part of you is to serve. Even if people have wronged you, which doesn't seem fair, does it? But, you know. So Joseph brought in Jacob his father and set him before Pharaoh, and Jacob blessed Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said unto Jacob, How old art thou? And Jacob said unto Pharaoh, The days of the years of my pilgrimage are 130 years. Few and evil have the days of the years of my life been, and have not attained unto the days of the years of the life of my fathers in the days of their pilgrimage. And Jacob blessed Pharaoh and went out from before Pharaoh. Long story short, Pharaoh gave them all just a whole big plot of land in Goshen during a famine, you know. And Joseph gathered up all the money that was found in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan for the corn which they bought, and Joseph brought the money into Pharaoh's house. And when money failed in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan, and all the Egyptians came unto Joseph and said, Give us bread, for why should we die in thy presence? For the money faileth. And Joseph said, Give your cattle, and I will give you your... He said, Give your cattle, and I will give you for your cattle, if money fail. And they brought their cattle unto Joseph, and Joseph gave them bread in exchange for horses, and for the flocks, and for the cattle of the herds, and for the asses. And he fed them with bread for all their cattle for that year. Stuff started getting bad. You know, that famine really started kicking in. They came unto him a second year and said unto him, We will not hide it from my lord. Now that our money is spent, my lord also hath our cattle. There's not enough left in the sight of my lord but our bodies. Wherefore shall we die before thine eyes, both we and our land? Buy us and our land for bread, and we and our land will be servants unto Pharaoh, and give us seed, that we may live and not die, that the land not be desolate. And then Joseph bought all of the land of Egypt for Pharaoh. For the Egyptians sold every man his field, because the famine prevailed over them. So the land became Pharaoh's. There's a moral to that story there too, I would think. It looks like the wisest, soulful people out of this whole group ended up surviving and taking everything, didn't it? And as for the people, he removed them to cities from one end of the borders of Egypt even to the other end thereof. Only the land of the priests bought he not, for the priests, the Egyptian priests, had a portion assigned to them of Pharaoh, and did eat their portion which Pharaoh gave them. Then Joseph said unto the people, Behold, I have bought you this day and your land for Pharaoh. Here is seed for you, and ye shall sow the land. And it shall come to pass in the increase that ye shall give the 5th part unto Pharaoh, and 4 parts shall be your own, for seed of the field, and for your food, and for them of your households, and for the food of your little ones. And they said, Thou hast saved our lives. This is how taxes began, I think. Shit got so bad, and they already stocked up from those previous 7 years. It's like, look, from here on out, you give us 1/5 of what you got, and we'll take care of you. And Joseph made it a law over the land of Egypt unto this day that Pharaoh should have the 5th part, except the land of the priests only, which became not Pharaoh's. And Israel dwelt in the land of Egypt in the country of Goshen, and they had possessions therein, and grew and multiplied exceedingly. And Jacob lived in the land of Egypt 17 years, so the whole age of Jacob was 147 years, so 147. And the time drew nigh that Israel must die. And he called his son Joseph, and said unto him, If now I have found grace in thy sight, put I pray thee thy hand under my thigh, and deal kindly and truly with me. Bury me not, I pray thee, here in Egypt, bury me in Canaan. And then Joseph goes and asks Pharaoh, Can I bury my dad in Canaan? And they let him do it. So I'm skipping that part. Let's see. All right, let's do... Damn, I wanted to do the 12. Let's do this real quick. So Jacob called into... This is when Jacob's dying. He's talking to all of his sons. Think about the zodiac and what all this stuff means. So and Jacob called unto his sons and said, Gather yourselves together that I may tell you that which shall befall you in the last days. Gather yourselves together, and hear ye, sons of Jacob, and hearken unto Israel your father. Reuben, thou art my firstborn, my might, and the beginning of my strength, and the excellency of dignity, and the excellency of power. Unstable as water thou shalt not excel, but thou wentest up to thy father's bed, then defilest thou it. He went up to my couch. Even though you got dignity and all that stuff, you still defiled yourself, huh? Simon and Levi. See, that to me is like Gemini right there. Simon and Levi are brethren. Instruments of cruelty are in their habitations. O my soul, come now thou into their secret, unto their assembly. Mine honor, be now not united. For in their anger they slew a man, and in their self-will they digged down a wall. Cursed be their anger, for it was fierce, and their wrath, for it was cruel. I will divide them in Jacob, and scatter them in Israel. Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise. Remember who the Lion of the tribe of Judah was. Thy hand shall be in the neck of thine enemies. Thy father's children shall bow down before thee. Judah is a lion's whelp. From the prey, my son, thou art gone up. He stooped down, he couched as a lion, and as an old lion, who shall rouse him up? The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver be between his feet, until Shiloh come, and unto him shall the gathering of the people be. Binding his fowl into the vine, and his ass colt unto the choice vine, he washed his garments in wine, and his clothes in the blood of grapes. His eyes shall be red with wine, and his teeth white with milk. Zebulun shall dwell at the haven of the sea, and shall be for an haven of ships, and his border shall be unto Zidon. Issachar is a strong ass couching down between two burdens. And he saw the rest was good, and the land that it was pleasant, and bowed his shoulder to bear, and became a servant unto tribute. Dan. See, I always thought Dan was Scorpio. Because check this out. Dan shall judge his people as one of the tribes of Israel. Dan shall be a serpent by the way, an adder in the path that biteth the horse's heels, so that his rider shall fall backward. I have waited for thy salvation, O Lord. Gad. A troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last. Out of Asher his bread shall be fat, and shall yield royal dainties. Naphtali. Naphtali is a hind, let loose he giveth goodly words. And then here's Joseph. Joseph is a fruitful bow, even a fruitful bow by a well, whose branches run over the wall. The archers, got to be Sagittarius, right? The archers have sorely grieved him, and shot at him, and hated him. But his bow abode in strength, and the arms of his hands were made strong by the hands of the mighty God of Jacob. From thence is the shepherd, the stone of Israel, even by the God of the Father, who shall help thee, and by the Almighty, who shall bless thee with blessings of heaven above, blessings of the deep that lieth under blessings of the breasts and of the womb. The blessings of thy father have prevailed above the blessings of thy progenitors, unto the utmost bound of the everlasting hills. They shall be on the head of Joseph, and on the crown of the head of him that was separate from his brethren. And Benjamin. Benjamin shall, is that Raven? R-A-V-I-N? As a wolf. In the morning he shall devour the prey, and at night he shall divide the spoil. All these are the 12 tribes of Israel. And this is that their father spake unto them, and blessed them every one according to his blessings. He blessed them. Pretty trippy story. Even though we got to roll out of here, I know there's deeper mysteries to all the stuff. The numbers, the astrological stuff, the offshoot of the story of the harlot. It's kind of weird how they were telling this story about Joseph being betrayed. And then they kind of go over to this off story about, dude sleeping with his daughter-in-law. A lot of crazy shit goes on in this book. And there's a lot of stuff in this book that I don't care how many times you go to church, there's stuff that's so weird and messed up that it'll never be like a main sermon. That's for damn sure. But my biggest thing here tonight was I read this the other day again, and it kind of teared me up because I remember being a kid reading it. And now that I'm older, I kind of understand that this coat of many colors thing and what it kind of represents. In a way, it could represent all the colors of the chakras, right? And if you guys study Eastern stuff, you know what all those colors mean. But tomorrow we'll have a guest on. It'll be more fun, less reading. Sorry, I got to keep the door open. It's about to storm here like crazy. That's why the thick stuff's getting thick. I'm sweating. And hopefully we won't fall up under a tornado. Tornadoes have been bad across the South, but it's supposed to get real bad here tonight. But I love each and every one of you. It was fun. Thanks for the 5, Barney. Or the 2, sorry. It looked like 5. Thanks for the $2, brother. Dude, Barney supports like almost every show, man. I don't know what to say, man. I love you. Thank you. You don't have to, though. I love you regardless. If you want to support, if you find anything of value of the show, please support us at the Fringe FM, and we'll be back tomorrow night, like I said, with a guest. And later on, we'll dig deeper into all this stuff. Like I have 3 or 4 main Bible stories I want to do like a playlist with, So we tell the story and then we kind of dig apart the mysteries inside the playlist. But I don't know exactly when I'm going to do them. So, because I'm booking guests and stuff too. Here's let's play this one. We played this one the other night. Right? No, not that one. It's hot. It's getting humid as hell. It's about to bust open out here. Good night, you crazy son of bitches. I love you guys.
just close my eyes again. Climbed aboard the Dreamweaver train. Trying to take away my